So every Sunday in the house, we come together and we have a meeting in the living room where we decide what each person is going to make for dinner and what day of the week they're going to make the dinner. So on my first Sunday morning meeting, I decided to make tacos. And my day to make the tacos was Wednesday in the middle of the week. And I was very, very nervous to make dinner for 8 people because I don't really usually even make dinner for my family, and I'm an only child and would only even have to make dinner for 2 other people, so I'd never experienced making meals for over 2 people. So I kind of just repressed the nerves after the meeting, and I wasn't thinking about the dinner. And then Wednesday came, the clock struck 5 p.m. I wanted to make the dinner at the right time, so I went downstairs and I compiled all my ingredients, and I started. And I was just so nervous getting into the kitchen because I was afraid that people wouldn't like the food or that it wouldn't be cooked well. And I was very frantic and cluttered and nervous, and I was also really nervous that people were gonna walk into the kitchen to grab a glass of water or something while I was cooking and see me with like a million ingredients scattered around and like everything a mess. And I wanted to seem like I knew what I was doing. So I started off by putting the beef on the stove. I had never cooked with an electric stove before, so I was afraid that it wasn't going to heat up and I was going to serve everyone raw beef. But I put the beef in. It looked a little weird. It looked like sludge. I then realized that I was supposed to put in the tomato sauce after the beef had cooked. Got extremely nervous about that because I remember I specifically wanted to refrigerate all of the toppings so that when I put everything out on the table, people would note that all of the toppings were cold and crisp and like my meal and my style of cooking. And right before I went to serve everything, I was cutting a couple limes up, and I cut my pointer finger really deeply with the knife. And I told myself that it wasn't going to be bad, it wasn't going to bleed, even though I knew that that was a deep cut and that was going to be like a lot of blood. But I just tried to ignore it, kept cutting my limes. I then realized that there was blood on the limes, and the last thing I want to do is serve people my blood. I feel like that would not make the best impression. So I rushed to the bathroom to get some paper towels to cover up the cut and tried to throw the limes away and get a couple more limes to cut, but I realized that I couldn't cut anymore. I couldn't use my hands anymore because I started to bleed through the paper towel. So I went to my friend Eva, who lives close to the kitchen, and she got a Band-Aid for me, even though she is deathly afraid of blood, but she knew I needed the assistance because she saw that on top of how nervous I was to serve dinner, I now was bleeding. So I covered up my finger, I put everything out on the table, and slowly each person in the house took their seat at the dinner table and started serving themselves a plate. And in my head, I was just like, my heart was beating, my palms were sweating a little bit. I couldn't stop staring at like how everyone was looking at the food and how everyone was like arranging their food. And I was just overanalyzing everything. I was really nervous about what people were going to say about it, if people were going to say anything about it. But at the same time, like, to everyone else in the house, it was just another meal. I started to, like, overanalyze how it tasted to me. And, like, as I was eating it, I was thinking about how other people would enjoy the taste that I was experiencing. So I started to get really paranoid and think that the beef that I had served was undercooked. And I got really nervous because I was like, I don't want to serve all of these people that I just started living with raw beef the first time that I make a meal for them. And so I was pushed in the moment to, I stood up and I said, look, you guys, like, I will totally recook your beef if it feels raw to you. I really don't want anyone to get sick. Like, I'm so sorry. And everyone just looked up at me and was like, Esme, like, this beef tastes completely normal to me. Like, it is not undercooked. And I said, all right, okay, fine. And I finished my taco. I felt pretty full from them. And just like that, dinner was over.